Hello everybody, today we'll be doing the final part to the three-parter of, the combat guides for Project Kaiju, Kaiju Universe, and Kaiju Risen. Today is the final part, Project Kaiju, and I saved it for last because it's going to be the longest video probably. This is going to be a long one. I have no clue how long it is while recording this, but it's probably going to be long. Anyways, let's get into it. So the first thing you want to learn in Project Kaiju is combos. Combos are extremely important in this game. I mean, I said that in Kaiju Universe, but here you get stunned, well, people get stunned when you attack them. And you can either do the basic left click combo, which is just 3 left clicks and then the combo's over, and it usually does like 60 something damage. But that is not the optimal way to do the game usually, unless you're fighting someone who's like zoning and you just want to get a quick hit on them. In that case, you just want to do as much damage as you just want to find the most powerful combo you have that can also be used frequently. Like for example, Orga has a 355 damage combo. It works on most kaiju, not all for whatever reason, because some kaiju have weird hitboxes, but it's whatever. It doesn't really matter too much. Like Zilla, I'm not great at him, as you can probably tell in the gameplay, but he doesn't have terrible combos. I can at least use combos with him. Another thing you have to realize is, in some cases, you can just do quick, light combos, like, again, left click combo, or you could do like a grab and then, say, a grab, tail slam, something like that. In the case of, like, say, Monsterverse or Titanus Godzilla, if you did grab and then Z, it would be 100 damage. So if you just want to do a quick combo, then do that. It'll be fine. It'll work. Something you have to pay attention for, though, is if you're playing, say, team battles, try to make sure, not even team battles, just try to make sure that if you have a lunge move, you're close enough to your opponent that it'll actually hit. Because lunges, even if they seem to hit, can sometimes not hit.
Hey man, you need to sit your motherfucking ass down.
But with the new overhaul update, they did add dashes for every single kaiju, because if you hit escape, I'm pretty sure you have to be attacking or chasing someone you've already attacked. But if you hit E, you will dash instead of using escape. But if you hit it during a combo, you're still just gonna use escape, and you're not gonna be able to use the dash. Personally, I don't use the dash very much. It isn't very useful, if you ask me. That's just in my opinion, though. And I've never seen anyone use it much at all, so it's whatever. Another thing you have to make sure of in this game, though, is watch your stamina. Stamina is the lifeblood in this game. Before the overhaul, it was still the lifeblood, but especially after the overhaul, it has become incredibly important to keep it as high as you can, because everything takes stamina now. Beaming takes stamina. The dash, I'm pretty sure, takes stamina. If you go too far away from your opponent, your stamina regen will be lower, which I actually think that's kind of fair. But that's one reason you shouldn't, although you want to keep distance in this game, you shouldn't go too far away, because then your regen stamina slower. There's another thing that takes stamina, I'm pretty sure. I'm not sure, though. But, like, if you have too low of stamina, like, for example, Titanus Godzilla's Atomic Breath takes 6 stamina per hit, and it hits 7 times, so his beam alone takes 42 stamina. That's crazy. That is absolutely crazy. You do not want to go up against that if you have low stamina. Rightfully so, you shouldn't try to do that with low stamina. It's just not a good game plan. The issue of stamina is also amplified if you're playing as something like, say, Mechagodzilla 2021. If you're playing as Mechagodzilla, you need stamina. It's an entire part of the entire playstyle of a mecha, because of the missiles for one, and the fact that his run or sprint drains 3 stamina instead of 2. And I'm pretty sure he also drains stamina at a higher, or no, he regens stamina slower. But with the new overhaul update, it can either be faster or slower depending on how far away you are from your opponent. This is something that I think hinders Mechagodzilla as well, and basically any other kaiju that used to or somewhat relied on ranging, because if you can't range as a mecha or any other kaiju, and if you're trying to range, you're going to gain stam super slowly. Like, I think 1 every tick, roundabout, which is not great for obvious reasons. I mean, it's like if you have Mechagodzilla and you have like 3 stamina and you're like halfway across the map from your opponent, it's not going to look good. Now, something else I find annoying, but you can put it into your playstyle, is roaring. Roaring doesn't give armor per se. Actually, I think it does give armor now, but I'm not going to make an assumption on that. I know for a fact, though, that you can't be stunned while you're roaring, or you can't be grabbed. So if you roar while, being attacked or being grabbed, you won't be grabbed and you'll take no damage, which is, as you probably can already tell, pretty powerful, because in some cases that can be a game changer for a fight. Because say the person, you're at 100 health and Orga's about to grab you, but you have your roar. You roar, they can't grab you, and then you can perhaps maybe clutch the fight. Roaring actually is a pretty big deal for a fight. It can be a complete turnaround, a turn of the tables, which it can also be incorporated with blocking, because if you block enough, you're probably going to take no damage. If you block, you can't be attacked by normal hits, and if you roar, you can't be grabbed. So it's something that you'll have to figure out, though. But when you're roaring, you can actually be interrupted by an ultimate, so it's not a complete trump card to any attack that you want. It is a good attack to have, but, not a good attack because it is an attack, but it's a good escape option or, dodge option, really, because I don't see any other reason you'd use it other than when you're far away from your opponent and you're roaring. Because, get this, roaring gives you about, I think, 50 stamina, which is a lot. If you're far away from your opponent, you can use that to regain stamina much quicker than you otherwise would. And this can also be used to help runners, but it can also be used to help catch runners. And that's another thing I want to get into. Runners. The running playstyle is not a good idea. It's just not a good idea. Circling around your opponent is different from running. Running means you're just completely away from your opponent. Like, you're not even trying to get near them. Running's not a good strat just because of the fact that, for one, you're not really fighting, so it's not going to be fun for you. But anyways, it's not a good strat because you can very easily get baited out of running, and your opponent can then just, combo you infinitely, basically. Because, think about it, if you're all the way across the map, if your opponent gets a Rage Vial, or, hell, even 2 Rage Vials, you're kind of screwed. Like, if they go near you, they can just use their ultimate, and there's not much you can do, especially if they have, Gigan or something. They can just keep doing that to you. Running just isn't a very viable option in this game, at least from my personal experience, because, again, even if you are, I guess you would say, a good runner, you would get comboed a lot or get any attacks you try to do canceled. Like, if you're trying to bait, if you get outbait, your opponent can outbait you or just bait you back or do anything, and there's not much you can do about it. There's nothing you can do to prevent them from continuing to do that to you. But on to another thing about this game. In this game, you want to try and, well, you know when to use your parry or escape, if you just want to call it that, and when to use your ultimate. If you're playing in team battles, for example, if you're using like Orga or Titanus, you would want to use your ultimate more often, because more often than not, your opponents are going to be close to you. So if you use it, in the case of Orga, you can just move your, you change your direction, then you can grab one or both of them. I think you can grab both. I'm not sure though. And in the case of Titanus, you can just use your ultimate and hit both of them, and then immediately attack afterwards and do even more damage. And in that case, it works really well because, well, it's an aerial attack, or not an air, it's an area attack. So it like does damage over a certain area. So then your opponent, your teammate can also help you and grab one of the people as well and start attacking. This can be really helpful in some cases, but in something like solo battles where you just want to survive, really, more often than not, you will want to just use your parry as often as you can, because unless you're using something like Destroya, where you can just use the floral beam, or the V move, if you just want to call it that, the ultimate, where you can move it around, and same with Orga, but I think both are pretty limited in that sense. You should just want to parry, because you don't have much of a choice. If you're using Titanus and your opponent is using Zilla or Gigan, they can just jump or fly over. Same with Destroya, which is the main problem with most ultimates. They are very easy to escape if your opponent has any stamina. And as I said earlier in the video, stamina is very important, because if you don't have it, you can't run, you can't block, you can't do anything. Essentially, you become a sitting duck. And that's why you also want to limit, especially if you're playing as Mechagodzilla, you want to limit how much you use your beam, because it takes up like 50 stamina, if I'm remembering correctly, which is absolutely insane.
I won't let you blow this.
So limit the amount of times you use your beam to only when you need to use it, and, well, in the case of other monsters, or, well, in the case of something like Titanus, you can use your beam a little bit more, but if you have low stamina already, it's better to just conserve it rather than use your beam. Now, one kaiju I do recommend using the beam for as much as you can is Destroya, because his beam takes up like 80 stamina, which is absolutely insane. That is a ton of stamina to take from an opponent in one beam. So the strat for that is just beam and then attack. So then you could just do as much damage as you want. It is a crazy strategy that works a lot. And that's really, really important to know for this game. Because if you can drain your opponent's stamina, you basically win the fight. Which is why, although I run a lot in the video, as you can see, and I do have low stamina a lot, you'll notice later on that, or in newer videos of mine, that I don't do that as much, because, well, kind of sold myself some of my wins by doing that. Just try to stay away from wasting your own stamina, and try to keep your opponent at bay as much as you possibly can, because, well, without running, of course, but try not to get yourself into a position where you are vulnerable. Such as, again, when you have low stamina, or you have low health, anything. Just try, or, well, especially after a combo. If it's right after a combo and you don't have a move to escape with, like a dash or Z, like for in the case of Titanus, and Destroya and Orga, they have dashes as one of their moves, so if you don't have those as an escape option, well, make sure to have your final move to be something to send your opponent away from you. In the case of something like Godzilla 2000, his combo has his special 2, which launches opponents away from him, and then you can use your atomic breath after that, but that's up to you. And that's a really good combo because, well, not only does it do a lot of damage, but it keeps your opponent away from you, keeping you from becoming vulnerable, which is really important. In a summarized version of what I've basically been saying, for this entire video, you need to keep your space from your opponents, and you need to try to keep your stamina as high as you can while draining the stamina of your opponents. But that's not all there is still, because another thing, to get better at the game too, not just to you get what I mean, just to get better. Another thing you have to do or learn to do is try to learn from what your opponent is doing so that you can learn their playstyle and then beat them after a few rounds, if they even play a few rounds with you. Because, for example, I've had a few rounds in this game for solo battles where I just get absolutely smothered. Like, I maybe land 3 hits, 1 combo, and that's it. And then they just completely demolish me. Instead of getting all mad about it, you should instead figure out how they play so that you can eventually figure out how to beat them. And that's generally it. That, for all the advice I've given you in this video, it is just a general combat guide. This is just general stuff to help you. You can only help yourself as much as you can by learning how your opponent plays and figuring out how to combat it, rather than just doing general stuff like I've been saying. This general stuff will help you in most fights overall, but it won't help you just win every single fight forever. No, you have to learn your opponent's playstyle and play against it. And yeah, that's essentially it. Thanks for watching. See you.